YouTube, it's time to talk about our favorite internet lolcow, Mr. Pirate Software himself. Pirate Software can't help but being in all of the controversy at all the times in the past year. I'm sure you guys are aware of all the controversy Pirate Software has been in. I myself, as an OG Pirate Software hater, I think I'm pretty well versed on the topic, and we're going to be watching a video here. Developer explains Pirate Software. So for those of you who are unaware, Pirate Software has been proven to be a pathological liar. He never apologizes for any mistakes. He has his head shoved so far up his own butt that he can use himself as a puppet. I don't know where I was going with that, but let's actually watch this. Apparently a lot of the things that Pirate Software talks about actually gets debunked, so let's jump straight into it.
If you have heard of Jason Thor Hall, better known online as Pirate Software, due to all the surrounding drama related to Stop Killing Games. This video isn't about the Stop Killing Games drama. I do support the Stop Killing Games initiative, and anyone in the EU currently watching this should go and sign up to care about game preservation.
Yeah, so those who aren't too familiar with the Stop Killing Games initiative, this is a relatively new one that was just really started talking about within the past year. Stop Killing Games is a movement that's started by a particular YouTuber. I can't remember who it was, but he basically started this whole movement to preserve games that are generally only online. Games like Helldivers. Helldivers is a perfect example. You can't play Helldivers offline. So when the developers of Helldivers decide after 5, 10, 15 years, when there's no more benefit out of keeping the servers up, right? The game goes offline, you functionally will never be able to play Helldivers 2 ever again without any significant changes. So the Stop Killing Games movement is trying to acknowledge that a lot of these games that have like strictly online only capabilities, once the servers go down, there is no support for the games, and they usually have to come from third-party support, such as fans of the game who want to keep the game alive, have private servers and things like that. So Stop Killing Games movement is trying to pass, not pass any bills specifically, but just acknowledge it. Maybe with enough signatures, which I believe it's over 1.1 million at this point, that developers will wake up, realize that, hey, people care about these old games. What can these developers do to try to preserve the longevity of these games? That way, after the servers go down, we can still continue to play the games, especially the games that we paid for, right? We're talking about games that we generally pay $50, $60, $70 for, that after a certain amount of time, you literally can't play them anymore, despite having already invested into the product. Which nowadays, when you buy these games, you are not buying the games themselves. You are buying a license or a right to play the game that the developer can take away from you at any minute. But let's jump into it. That's a little bit obviously not surrounding this, and see what this guy has to say.
This video is going to be a review of Jason's job history, game dev industry claims, coding ability, and his Heartbound and Champion of Breakfast Theorem solutions by me, a developer. I won't be touching on his hacking skills much in this video, since from what I found, all of his DEF CON wins were team efforts, and all of the stories related to hacking are just that, stories. Outside of his word, I generally can't find anything related to it. There isn't anything concrete or of substance in these stories for me to actually analyze and review. If anyone knows where he actually has hacking write-ups, or knows the VODs where he actually does something related to hacking, let me know and I can do a separate video going through and reviewing it. Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of that stuff is still unsubstantiated. I've heard rumors and like little murmurings of all the stuff that he's talking about is usually pretty BS. But no one has actually like come forward with like proof and enough like knowledge to debunk what he's saying. But if it's anything like all the other stuff that he's talking about, he's probably either outright lying or stretching the truth so incredibly much.
With that out of the way, let's start with Jason's LinkedIn job history. So
we
look at his LinkedIn, we can see his first recorded job experience is from 2002 to 2009, where he was a freelance security researcher and developer. In 2002, Jason would have been 15. And
this means nothing, by the way. This means he takes an odd job here and there for companies that just generally are looking for freelance work. For maybe they have a specific project that they don't want to hire someone specifically. Just like word of mouth jobs.
And from what I found, he hasn't taken any program classes, so anything he knows at this point is largely self-taught. Another important thing is...
To be fair, self-teaching is fine. That's not a bad thing. Most people in IT and most like developers and coders that I know didn't even go to school. They just picked up things like Visual Basic and C++ and taught themselves. I know a couple of these colleges had like free online courses you could have taken. I know there's some ones for like Python and stuff like that, which that's not even a big deal, but that is pretty interesting that he has no official schooling for stuff like this.
Jason actually had a job in 2004 that isn't listed here as a quality assurance intern at Blizzard.
I went to Blizzard in 2004, and like this is kind of
So when he says he went to Blizzard, that's a very interesting way to word it. He didn't go to Blizzard. His daddy got him a job because his daddy was a higher up at Blizzard. So him saying he went to Blizzard is implying that like he like walked in and they gave him a job immediately. No, your daddy got you a job because he was a big higher up at Blizzard. Let's relax there.
my whole career, right? My first job I got through nepetism, 100%.
Oh, okay.
My dad worked at Blizzard for 23 years.
Okay.
He worked at Blizzard for 23 years, so I got a job there in 2004. I was shit. I was shit at this, and I realized I was shit.
Also, I think it's important that we talk about his dad for a second. Jason says his dad just worked at Blizzard, but that's grossly understating his dad's role and history at Blizzard. Jason's dad is Joey Ray Hall, and from a Reddit AMA his dad held, we can see the following. Joey Ray joined Silicon and Synapses in 1991. Now, you might be asking, what's Silicon and Synapses, and what does this have to do with Blizzard in his post?
I believe this is like either a group of Blizzard people before Blizzard, or they have some very close ties to Blizzard, from my understanding.
Well, in 1991, Blizzard didn't exist yet. Silicon and Synapses was the original company name, and 1990
called it. I know my lore. This isn't pre-watch, by the way. I just know a lot about random stuff on the internet.
Was the year it was founded. Joey Ray joined Blizzard before it was Blizzard, and when he joined, there were less than 10 people in total at the company. He wasn't some random Blizzard employee. He was one of the earliest hires at the company. Over his 23 years, he did all sorts of work, and was the one that founded the cinematic team, led the machinima team, the video team, the video...
Dude, the OG machinima team for like Warcraft and stuff like that is so good.
On post-production team and the esports live broadcast team, plus being responsible for all the video content for every BlizzCon between 2005 to 2014. Plus, he led the team that made the famous South Park World of Warcraft episode and the inspiration for the He Who Has No Life character. Joey Ray was the director of cinematics at Blizzard. He wasn't some low-level employee that worked at the company. He was pretty high up in the chain. Anyways, back to Jason.
It wasn't just some guy like Thor. What's his real name? You guys know? Oh, Jason? You guys know Thor isn't even his real name, by the way, right? I want to make sure everyone realizes that. His name is Jason. But he goes by Thor. That's it's so cringe, man. Don't call me Jason. My name is Thor, like the god of thunder.
Next 5 years, I left Blizzard. I did not reapply, and I went and worked on my own. I did freelance. I did freelance for everything. So I actually weren't into...
No, hold on. No. His persona name is even wilder. No. I'll tell you what his persona name is. I'll tell you what it is. Hold on. Because I know it's not Thor. It's oh my god, he has a persona? Yes, he has a persona. He is a big weirdo when it comes to like furry stuff. Oh man, what? I can't find it. Someone look it up for me. He has it's like, it's something really weird. Someone has to look it up for me. I promise you it's weird. Maldavius Fig Tree. His persona's name. Okay, not only is his persona name weird, his persona is a ferret. He owns a ferret sanctuary. His persona is a ferret named Maldavius Fig Tree. That is a ferret, and he has a ferret sanctuary. Anyway, I'm not trying to draw any parallels there. I just want to make sure you guys are aware of that.
Second Life, which is a 3D Worlds game, if you've never played it before. They have a language in it called Linden Scripting Language. And I made games in it. I learned how to do 3D modeling. I learned how to do texture work. I learned how to do scripting. I learned how to engage with people that were playing my games. I learned how to do network model stuff. I learned how to do server-related stuff. I did this for 5 whole years.
So Jason's Second Life period of time is a huge rabbit hole, and there's like...
For those who are unaware of Second Life, Second Life is basically The Sims on crack. And Second Life is generally known for its not safe for work community, where you can like make mods and things like that in Second Life. I'd say the not safe for work community carries Second Life, at least modern day.
5 or 6 different controversies surrounding his time in Second Life. This video isn't about his controversies and allegations, so I'm going to skip over most of it. The only small parts we care about are related to coding. During his Second Life playing time, he played a character known as Maldavius Fig Tree, and
if you're a furry, I don't hate you. I truly don't hate you. I used to hate you. If you're a full-blown furry, I'm gonna keep it a buck. I used to hate you. I used to have the biggest prejudice against furries known to man. That being said, a lot of y'all are weird, right? I don't judge fetishes either, but when it starts bleeding over into affecting other people and things like that, like when you start like publicizing all of like your furry stuff and you start doing like diaper roleplay and crinkling like at conventions and stuff like that, that's a little bit too much. Like, right? Like I'm not. Once it starts getting weird, like cubs. I don't know if you guys know about like cubs. Like there's like cubbing in like the furry world, where like one of like the partners acts as like a baby cub, like an underage thing. It's weird, man. It's just it's weird. That being said, I don't hate you. I think you're weird. Keep it in the bedroom, and I'll respect the hell out of you. What? Oh yeah, look it up.
Started a company called Dark Sphere Creations. He claims he did game program with the Linden scripting language, the programming language of Second Life, and made some small games and some user-generated content for Second Life. While digging into this, I didn't find any proof he coded any games. What Dark Sphere Creations and his company was actually doing at the time was creating not safe for work adult furry avatars and selling them. Basically, his friend, Wingless Emote, another Second Life player, would do the art and modeling for the furry avatars, and Jason would do some coding on top. What kind of coding he did on top of these avatars isn't exactly clear. Then they would sell the avatars, and eventually the business was making somewhere around $10,000 a month.
That is insane. So they were making 6 figures selling not safe for work furry avatars in Second Life. Let that go through your head for a second. Over $100,000 a year on Second Life making furry avatars. Furries are rich. I've never met. Yeah, they do. I've never met a community that has more monies than furries. Guys, good fursuits can cost upwards of $20,000 to $30,000. And that's generally because a lot of furries are in IT and making that IT coding money.
Primarily due to selling these avatars. There's some other controversy where it alludes to Jason trying to do dev work on Linden Labs projects and other game worlds, but I can't find any solid proof, just random posts and accusations. Software. So in summary, there doesn't seem to be any proof he did any kind of game development or hacking during this period of time.
Something to study.
Let's get back to Jason.
Look up programming socks too when you get a second. I won't be looking them up, but if you're interested in even going down that rabbit hole even more, look up programming socks. That's an interesting rabbit hole to go down as well.
Then I came back to Blizzard in 2009.
Don't ask me how I know about that and why I know about that. That's a story for another time.
And I applied, not having his help in any way. I got the job.
Okay, the timeline here starts matching up with his LinkedIn. After his little detour with Dark Sphere Creations and working for himself, Jason now has an actual full-time job at Blizzard in 2009. This is his first official full-time job at Blizzard, and he is once again...
Wait, does Vidal have programming socks? If he does, I don't know what they go by, but that's funny.
Again, a quality assurance analyst. Jason claims he got into the company on his own merits this time, but I find that a bit hard to believe at face value. In 2004, he said he was terrible at...
So he started working as an intern and said that he got this job based on his own merit. I mean, didn't he just get the job because he was an intern at Blizzard? It's not like he applied to a new company to work at. He was literally working for the company as probably an unpaid intern. And then they had a position open up. They went, hey, this guy kind of knows what he's doing. Let's put him in there.
At his QA role, and that's why he quit. I searched to see if he studied anything IT related in high school or in college or during the time gap, and I found this from his subreddit. Jason did spend some time in college studying to be an entomologist with a specialization in ants.
What a thing to go to college for. I'm gonna go to college to be an entomologist. Like, good on you for like pursuing your passion, but like, that's weird.
Dropped out of college without ever finishing his studies, and it doesn't seem like he ever took any IT-related course.
I'm not trying to dunk on him when I say that, but just the way that it was worded, that like he applied for it. Like, no, he just like kind of like he like moved up.
During this time here. During that 5-year gap between 2004 and 2009, the only experience he said in the clip from earlier was his Second Life programming, and well, that wasn't exactly quality assurance, or hacking, or game development work. Plus, while applying in 2009, on his resume he would probably have had, or Blizzard itself would have had a record he worked there previously as a QA, so that would make applying a second time for a similar position easier. His dad, once again, was a pretty high person in the company, and some people might remember Jason being Joey Ray's son from before. It's not impossible he got in on his own merits, just a bit hard to believe considering he doesn't have experience with any real program languages at this point, and he doesn't have any degrees or certificates.
Nico, that's insane.
Back to his LinkedIn and his job. So he held the role for 3 years and 2 months, and once again, this was his quality assurance role. One thing Jason often does is he claims all QA are developers. First, as someone that has worked...
Claiming a QA as a developer is wild. Quality assurance, you just make sure things look good and they feel good. You're not a developer. You're not developing anything. You're just making sure the things that exist already work the way that they're supposed to work. I wouldn't call that development.
QA myself, this isn't true. I'm not saying QA aren't important, but the majority of QA generally are non-technical and only a small portion are. And
literally. Oh god, yeah.
Most of the places I worked at, QA generally has no coding ability and are tasked with doing manual regression testing.
That's it. It's literally taking things that already exist and making sure they work. It's not Grandma's Boy vibes. Joey, that is actually insane. I never put 2 and 2 together. Dude is literally PJ from Grandma's Boy. Oh my god. You blew my mind there. Oh my goodness.
Basically, to get a series of test cases they need to go through, and each test case has a written out set of instructions they just follow. If something doesn't match the case steps, then a bug is filed and actual developers are tasked with it.
And the actual people that do the coding actually fix it. They don't fix it. They realize it's broke, and then they send it to someone way smarter than them.
Addressing it. So I personally wouldn't call his 3 years at this position.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. QA teams are incredibly important. I'm not trying to say they're not important. I'm just saying that they're not developers. They're not coders. It's literally just quality assurance and nothing more and nothing less.
Game development experience. And if we look at the bullet points he has on his LinkedIn, besides one line, namely the design and create an automated system, there's nothing here that even remotely implies he was coding or doing any kind of...
This is just a fancy way of saying he created a flowchart of how to do his job. This isn't... That's all this is. He didn't make anything. He didn't create anything. He didn't program anything. This is just saying, I created a system that could do this, this, and this.
Of development. I'm making this point since Jason often claims he was a game developer at Blizzard for 7 years, but his first 3.5 years didn't include any developer roles. Also, to address his if QA didn't do their jobs, games wouldn't be released argument.
I opened Excel and I made a Power Automate script that automatically will read a message and then outputs like that. That's all it is. Bro probably just used like Power Automate through Microsoft or something. There's no way he actually like coded anything on his own for that.
Most games have music. If a musician doesn't complete the OST, a game can't be released. Does that mean they're now developers too? Just because you say something confidently in a deep voice doesn't make it true. Moving on to his next role, we have quality assurance hacks. Here he mentions he did some forensic analysis and detected threats. Okay. Also, something I'd like to note, all of his game projects listed here were coded using primarily the C++ programming language. This is a low-level programming language. This will be important.
Whoa. Put some respect on C++, brother. Whoa. Low-level programming is wild. Now, I'm not Mr. Big Coder. I don't know every programming language, but I took C++, 2 years of it, and it's a very fucking good language. It's a very complex language. That's a little far-fetched for me to say. I don't like that. Not to be an elitist. I mean, not to be an elitist. I worked on C++ for 10 years. I can't do Thor's voice, I'm sorry. Or do I sound... I probably just even sound like Thor.
Important a bit later in the video.
Bane?
As for the role, again, I wouldn't call this game development experience. This is more related to security work than game development itself. Okay. And from the bullet points, it doesn't...
Yeah, I mean, this has nothing to do with development, right? You sound like Bane? Oh, fuck.
Doesn't seem like Jason was doing much coding.
Yeah.
His next role for 6 months...
Well, he said it's a low-level programming language. C++ isn't a low-level programming language. I'd say maybe, I mean, Java definitely is. HTML is probably the lowest programming language. I mean, well, HTML isn't really programming. Java, I mean, yeah. Python is lower, but it's not base level. I don't know.
Engineer. My opinions are pretty much the same as the previous role he held. Moving on, we have the next role as security engineer for 11 months. This one is interesting. Since the bullet points here notes he managed web application security. For those that don't know what web applications are, it means he was working on websites and not games. There's no mention of programming here or what.
Probably lowest level is binary. Nico, you are right. I mean, binary is a programming language. You're right. Binary.
The languages he used. But regardless, this is without a doubt a non-game development role and doesn't have any overlap with game development. Okay, next Next up, he moves to another security engineer role for 3 months. Again,
so
same
he just
opinions
did no
as his
game
last
development
job.
at
Now,
Blizzard.
his last role at Blizzard was a red team member.
That was his last. Wait, so bro did 0 programming at Blizzard. Wait, what the fuck?
Team is a common IT term that just means someone inside the company that attempts to hack into their systems, either digital or physical. So
he's basically a pen tester.
Red Hat's basically try to make hacks and show how they got access. So these vulnerabilities and issues can be addressed before real hackers can abuse them. Now, while Red Hat is offensive security and hacking, it doesn't always mean you're programming like you see with those green terminals and pics. If we look at the bullet points Jason has listed, we can see he did exploiting physical access controls and social engineering operations. Social engineering is actually...
So wait, bro probably wasn't even doing any pen testing. He was probably literally just... Oh my god.
One of the most common ways hackers gain access to systems, and it doesn't have to involve any programming at all.
His expense here is probably just, oh yeah, I was the guy, I would send the phishing emails. Yeah, I clicked a button and it sent a phishing email to the whole company. And then if they clicked on it, I got to yell at them. And if they didn't click on it, I got to give them a certificate.
Social engineering attacks are something like the following situation. Let's say Jason in this example is a social engineer and his target is a fellow Blizzard employee with access to...
I swear to God, I didn't pre-watch this, by the way. This was not pre-watched.
The game servers. He could call them or email them from a legitimate Blizzard phone number or email and say he needs their account credentials. Normally, you would never share live in production account credentials, even if someone from your own company. But let's say Jason manages to convince the employee to hand the credentials over. Now Jason has a way to log into the system he shouldn't have access to. This is a social engineering attack. Yep. It's not technical hacking like most people think of. It's generally just being convincing enough and getting employees to hand over info or access they shouldn't be giving out. All right. With all of that, and with all those jobs, we have 6 years and 6 months at Blizzard full-time for Jason.
And
if we include his time as a QA
intern in 2004,
we basically have his 7 years of experience at Blizzard accounted for. Judging by everything he has written here, it seems as though he's never held an actual game developer position, and he's never done any game development directly. All of his roles at Blizzard were either QA,
phishing is hacking to pirate,
or social engineering, basically is hacking. It doesn't seem like he's ever touched C++, which is the industry standard language to use when doing game development. But before I finish my thoughts on this, let's check out one more job after Blizzard. After Blizzard, Jason worked at Amazon Games for 8 months as an automation engineer. Again, he wasn't a game developer here.
I'm surprised Amazon Games was around in 2016. Did Amazon Games put out any games during that time? Amazon Games library. I'm curious. What did they even put out? Amazon has games? Well, Amazon made New World. So I know that's the only game that I know about.
Here. He also didn't include much information under his bullet points. He did documentation of vulnerabilities and did some automation work with Python. This is the first officially recorded line that actually shows he did some programming. Python is what we call a high-level language, meaning the language is designed to be easy for humans to read and understand as well as to write. Python is a wonderful language, and I'm not...
So okay. How is Python a high level and C++ a low level? Well, that's silly.
Not throwing any shade at it, but Python is not a language used to create games. Technically, yes, you can code games in Python. Big drawback is it's an incredibly slow language. This is why the industry standard language for game development is C++, a low-level language that allows for incredible performance. The trade-off is it's a significantly more difficult language to work with. The reason
Okay, his explanation is wild. Yeah, it's a low-level programming language, but it's way fucking harder, but it's a low level. I hate his explanation of that, but I understand what he meant now. That's crazy.
I went through his job history so far and his programming language list is because Jason often claims he's a 20-year veteran of the game dev industry, and he was a game developer at Blizzard for 7 years. And he uses these claims to make himself seem like an authority and expert on game development and game-related topics, namely stop killing games. But from the looks of it, and in my opinion, it doesn't seem to me he's ever worked as an actual game developer within the industry, and it doesn't seem like he's ever done much program work in the industry either. I'm not throwing shade at any of the jobs listed here so far. I'm just trying to be absolutely...
So, but I would be throwing shade. When you go on record for years upon years and claim all of these accolades and claim you've had jobs you've never actually had, you should have shade thrown at you because you're just lying. Like, yeah, it's a white lie, but like, let's just call a spade a spade. You're being a piece of shit when you're trying to lie about like your credentials and things like that.
clear that none of this, in my opinion, as someone that has worked on game engines and done game development, none of this counts as game development experience, with a lot of his roles having absolutely nothing to do with game development itself at all. To help make this clearer, here's another example to help everyone understand. It's like someone working at a hospital and doing payroll work, but because they're at a hospital, they claim to be a qualified doctor. It doesn't make any sense. Jason is making a giant leap with his "I'm a game developer for 7 years at Blizzard" claims. Anyways, let's go back to this.
Yeah, so and again, I don't follow PirateSoftware because I think he's absolutely insufferable. I had no idea he claimed he was a game developer for 7 years at Blizzard. That's insane. Yeah, he didn't do shit at Blizzard. He was just a low-level guy who did maybe some pen testing and some quality assurance. That was it. So he did zero developing on any Blizzard games. Oh yeah, I've been a dev for 20 years. Oh, shut up.
His LinkedIn.
Oh, he claims at Blizzard too. God, I hate him.
What's next? Here we have that he was a cybersecurity specialist
at
Eagle Research Group. Based on Jason's stories, this should be when and where he was technically working for the government. There isn't a whole lot of information here, and with most of the bullet points being extremely generic. Since he claims this was government-related work, I think it's perfectly reasonable to assume he has NDAs, or he might not be able to give any specifics related to his work here.
And then when I did that, I went to the United States Department of Energy, and I hacked power plants for the federal government.
What a stupid thing to say, by the way. I hate that he says it. Yeah, I hacked power plants for the government. I'm kind of a big deal. I was hacking the power plants. Yeah, not a big deal. I was a power plant hacker.
Jason makes a lot of claims being a hacker and has told a lot of stories, but I could never find anything to back up his hacking claims. So far, the only thing I found was he did do some social engineering attacks at Blizzard. Now, some of you might know about his DEF CON stories and his Mr. Robot claims. I'll probably cover those in a separate video.
What does he say about Mr. Robot? Because Mr. Robot's one of my favorite shows of all time. I'm curious. Hold on, let me see if I can find that. What does he say? You sound exactly like Cap when you do a retard voice. That's because she stole the retard voice from me. I invented that. Mr. Robot, PirateSoftware. What did he talk about with that? I'm curious because I love Mr. Robot. Whatever. I can't find it. I'm too lazy.
The reason is all of his DEF CON wins were done in teams of 10 people, never solo. And for his other hacking claims, there's only stories to go off of. To keep this video from being too long
and okay. You want to do some real like deep dive like social like what's the word I'm looking for? Not social engineering, but like social deduction. Okay. So he's claiming he worked on this, like he's claiming he was like a DEF CON badge holder, right? Like he's this big deal. He's this big hacker. They won awards at DEF CON. So DEF CON's like a hacking like sort of convention, right? Okay. Jason being off to the side like this, okay, his body language reads to me like he's like forcing himself into the picture, right? Like everyone else looks kind of natural like that they're in the picture. Like these guys are kneeling in front of the sign. They're probably like, these are the guys that probably did all the work. Jason being like sort of off to the side, kind of like standing awkwardly, trying to like get into the picture. Maybe I'm overreading it, but that's what I see when I look at this picture. Like he's trying to fit into the group when they probably don't even fuck with him. No shot, guys. Can I hop in? That maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I get from this picture. Is that like he's like kind of like butting himself into the picture, like, hey, like let me get in there. I was part of the team too, guys. And again, that's just like armchair psychology type shit.
Off topic, I'll save his hacking claims for its own thing. Okay, his next set of experience is at his own company, also named PirateSoftware. But before we touch on that, let's talk about his more recent job experience at Offbrand Games first, since that's a smaller topic to cover.
Yeah, I had no idea he worked at Offbrand. When the hell was that? You were wrong. He brought the coffee. He was a pillar to the team. True.
Games is a game publishing company founded by Ludwig and
fuck Ludwig, by the way.
Jason. I'm not entirely sure if Jason is a co-founder or not. Jason claims he isn't, but most posts and Ludwig's posts talking about the company seem to imply he is. Whether or not he's a co-founder isn't too important. Jason's role at the company is director of strategy. From Jason's comments on the
Can we talk about what a fake position that is, by the way? Director of strategy. Yeah, I just talk about like what the company should do. I'm a big strategist. Yeah.
Matter. He basically helps indie game developers negotiate contracts. Again,
what is that?
No direct game development work here. Also, fun fact.
That's like a fake job title that you give to a nepo baby that doesn't know what the hell they're doing.
He basically helps indie game developers negotiate contracts. Again, no direct game development work here.
He's an ideas guy.
The very first game Offbrand Games was co-publishing was Rivals of Ether 2. A game by the developer's own words was built this time around as a more live service game. Really makes you think
why does he hate Stop Killing Games? Maybe it's because the publishing company he was working for with Ludwig really is trying to focus on games that are live service. Why does he hate Stop Killing Games? I wonder. Maybe it's because he has direct reason not to?
They might not want Stop Killing Games to succeed. Also,
again, guys, not pre-watched. I'm just smart. Guys, I worked at Blizzard for like 10 years. Yeah, I was the CEO of Blizzard, and I was like I was the big guy. I did all the work at Blizzard. I'm kind of a big deal. Dude, Iggy Baby is so funny when I talk like that.
Don't throw any hate at Rivals of Ether 2. They actually do have an end-of-life plan to keep the game playable and alive for the community after it ends. The same goes...
Yeah, guys, I'm the CEO of Blizzard. Just don't look into that claim. Don't look at my LinkedIn. Just don't investigate that. Can you guys just take my word for it? Just believe... God, just believe that I'm the CEO of Blizzard, guys. I know a lot about WoW, so I'm kind of a big deal. Okay, thanks. Appreciate that, guys.
For the rest of the off-brand published games. Don't throw them any hate. Okay, we're going to take just one more detour before we get to the PirateSoftware company. Let's check out Jason's GitHub and see if there's any code for us to review there. For those of you that don't know what GitHub is, it's basically the site where developers store their code bases and development teams can work.
Joey was my right-hand man over at Blizzard. I have a lot to say about Joey. He's a good guy.
Together on a code base. In Jason's case, his code bases would be tied to his games. Okay, so here's Jason's GitHub account, and he has zero public.
He has nothing on his GitHub. Any person that does any coding worth their salt has something on their GitHub, right? It's a repository for like their code, basically, is what it is. Having nothing on his GitHub is so fucking funny to me.
Projects on his account.
It's a huge red flag.
And zero activity for the year of 2025. Okay, the no public repos doesn't exactly prove anything, and you don't need to have public repos, but most active developers do have something at least. Also, let me point out, GitHub does have an option of having private repos, which are code bases not viewable by users not part of the team. But GitHub also has the option to show activity on private repos on your profile without leaking any private repo data. Again, this doesn't prove anything, but it's incredibly odd to see a self-proclaimed developer and hacker have zero public code on his GitHub and zero activity on his account. Let's try 2024, and there's nothing. Okay, 2023. Oh, I see some activity, and it's bug reports. He has made 4 bug reports and some feature requests.
Bro uses GitHub, so he actively uses GitHub, has no public repositories, and probably has none at all. And all he has is bug reports. Bro is a quality assurance tester, completely caught. That's all this motherfucker knows is quality assurance.
Zero coding to review for 2023. Okay, let's try 2022. All right, I see 2 green dots. And again, it's 2 bug reports, no code to check over. All right, 2021, I'm feeling lucky, and there's nothing. Okay, 2020, he's applying to be a part of the live coders list. All right, last year to check, 2019, and his only activity is he joined January 13, 2019. Man, that was disappointing. Over 7 years of having a GitHub account, he seems to have done 0 public coding, with a grand total of 6 bug reports. Again, this doesn't prove anything too much, but most professional developers and hackers generally have something on their accounts, even if it's just super minor stuff like their settings for their favorite text editor or application. Jason could have a separate personal account where he does all his work, but the entire thing is just incredibly strange and unusual. Just about every tech YouTuber and streamer has a GitHub account with some random projects scattered around. Anyways, finally with all those positions and GitHub stuff out of the way, let's finally get to PirateSoftware, the company, and Jason's actual game development start. Let's take a look at his game dev skills, his game dev execution. With all his bragging, I'm sure this is going to be an incredible story.
Guys, he's the CEO of his own company, so you better put some respect on his name.
With no issues at all. All right, so his first game his studio published was a game called Champions of Breakfast. This was a game roughly built in 8 months in the Game Maker engine. This was the first game that Jason claimed had the unpiratable DRM, where basically the game's Steam achievements acted as a save file. I'll touch on all these.
There's no. I don't even know what this game is, but that claim, there's no
points
way
again in just a bit. Keep them in mind. While I move to his next and only other game, Heartbound. So Heartbound is the big game PirateSoftware is known for, and it has a crazy development history. According to the wiki, Heartbound's first build was October 7th,
Someone pirated the game within 2 days. I'm not surprised.
Again, this game was also made in Game Maker. It's a 2D game that's mostly story driven.
Wait a minute. He's making all of the games that he claims he made in Game Maker? No shot. So, I don't know if you guys are aware, but Game Maker is like baby's first way to make a video game. From my understanding, and maybe Game Maker has changed, you do like you do very little programming in Game Maker. It sort of like helps you. It's like building blocks, right? It's like building blocks to be able to make games. That is wild.
With extreme similarities to Undertale, and is supposed to have
Game Maker's
5
very little
chapters in total. A Kickstarter.
So he's literally making the games that he's claiming to develop in Game Maker. That's
extreme similarities to Undertale, and is supposed to have 5 acts or chapters in total. A Kickstarter for the game was launched.
Okay, I'm gonna give you guys an example you guys are like familiar with. Making a game in Game Maker is like reacting to a YouTube video and then uploading it to YouTube and then saying that you made the video. Basically what I'm doing right now. Gulp.
Launched on February 24th, 2017, roughly a year and a half after work originally started on it. The original goal was to have the game finished and released by December 2017, but shortly after the launch, it was claimed the game was to be fully complete and released
in
early
Heartbound ever even come out yet?
A few months later, the goal was once again changed and now was targeting early access.
I feel like this game has never even come out.
The game did land on Steam in December of 2018 in early access. This release contained a chapter 1 that was complete with a basically near fully done chapter 2.
Yeah.
Gee, I hope this doesn't become a trend with delays, failed promises, and shifts in goals. Surely Jason will complete this game in a few more years, right? At the very start of January 2019, they released a patch where in the patch notes it said Animus, the name of chapter 3, was being developed. And this is where everything started truly going to hell. Now, we have a few things we should note here. This is technically
the game, from my understanding, and I've never even looked into the game. It's like Deltarune, or games like that, right? It's like like that. It's like that sort of game, right? His voice was always that deep. Oh yeah, he claims he went through second puberty.
Third year of development if we're going off the October 2015 first build date. If we compare this to Undertale, Undertale completed development in 2 years, 7 months, with Toby Fox doing most of the development solo.
Undertale, yeah. I couldn't think of the name Undertale for some reason. Yeah, Undertale is basically the vibes that his game gives, and he made that game so quick.
From Tammy Chang on art. Also, let's just take a quick look at the How Long to Beat site and see how much content Undertale has. Okay, the main story is 7 hours. With side content, it's roughly 11 hours. A completionist run is 20.5 hours. Okay, pretty good in respect.
I think it's an okay, fine game, but I think it's overrated as all hell. I think the music carries Undertale, to be totally honest.
Times for an indie game built in 2 years, 7 months. Heartbound, as of 2025, is still in active development. So let's take a look at how much content time they have. All right, the main story is 2.5 hours. With side content, it's 3 hours, and a completionist run is 3.5 hours.
The game is 3.5 hours, and it's been in development for like 8 years. Oh my god.
The software team has been working on this game for 10 years, currently more than 3 times as long as the Undertale team, and the PirateSoftware team has 1 additional team member. Yeah, just think about that for a moment. Anyways, let's start diving through 2019 and Chapter 3 Animus development. For most of 2019, it seems like there was steady progress on Chapter 3 with various patches over the year, so far saying additional content was added. On October 2019, Jason tweeted that roughly 86% of Chapter 3 has now been completed. Then 2 years later, Jason tweets that Chapter 3 is now 92% done. So over 2 years, he made 8% progress on 1 chapter. 20 years of game dev industry experience.
What? 2 years and he made 8% progress on a chapter? We're not talking about 8% of the total game, by the way, guys. 8% of a chapter of the game was made in 2 years. And not only that, this was during COVID. Nobody was fucking doing anything during COVID. How you were locked inside? Why were you not programming your fucking game? What do you mean you lost 9 months? What do you mean? We were all inside on our fucking computers that entire time.
People, and 7 years working at Blizzard. Okay, let's rewind and go back to 2020 and see the Twitch statistics and see what was happening. Okay, the start of 2020...
From my understanding, I don't know much about old PirateSoftware, but I believe he would stream his like coding of the game.
Till March seems like a normal stream schedule. Seems like he caught a cold on March 10th. Then after 9 days, he goes to urgent care and is diagnosed with pneumonia.
No. Oh god, did he get COVID?
And gets a COVID test. Then we move to March 21st, and COVID test results come back, and it's negative. No COVID, just pneumonia. Wait, never mind. March 24th, Jason goes back to urgent care. Pneumonia was incorrectly diagnosed, and he actually has severe bronchitis. All right, March 30th, he's still sick, but once again confirms negative for COVID. This is really important. All right, a few days later, April 10th, and his cold status is defeated.
Let's
and
go!
We're good to go. I know I'm being semi-joking in this section, but I generally don't wish Jason any health issues. All right, so then we move on to April 11th, 2020, and work on Heartbound has restarted. Work is continuing over the next few days. According to tweets, most of April was good, so was most of May 2020. We're still working on Heartbound at this point. Again, nearly all of the May prog is on Heartbound. Then we skip all the way.
But various, like we're talking about, he has his own studio, right? This isn't like a pet project. Like maybe I'm wrong, but like isn't there like more people that are like maybe developed like that are like banking on this game coming out if he has a studio? Or is he doing all the music? Is he doing all the sprites, all the animation? Is he doing all that himself? Because from what it sounds like, he has like a team that's like helping him with this project. If you have a team that's like relying on you like making the game and like maybe waiting to get paid and things like that.
Way over to July 2020, and work on Heartbound is still progressing. Seemed like there's some trouble during September, October, and November, with December being fine, and so is January of 2021 being fine. Then we hit
looks like my stream schedule.
February 2021, and then he tweets out he has had COVID for 9 months since the start of February of 2020. Wait, what?
I'm playing devil's
Jason was
advocate.
only sick in March according to his own tweets at that time period. And there's
So a year later, he claims that he had COVID after saying, yeah, so a literal year later, he says, I had COVID in February. But when you go back to his original tweets, he said he was immune for COVID. So bro just blatantly lies 1 year later that's why the development on his game is so slow. Like I can understand if you're gonna lie about something in the past, like don't lie about something that happened a year ago. Lie about something that happened like 5, 6, 7 years ago. That way it's harder to prove.
Wait, what? Jason was only sick in March according to his own tweets at that time period. And there's work from February from earlier. And there's proof he worked during April, May, June, July, and August at the very least, judging by his Twitch stats and his Steam announcements and patches for the game. It seems the only major slowdown of streams and work was 3 months of September, October, and November. Where he lost 9 months of time and had to stop development based on his tweets, I have no idea. I mean, it's not like he's going to change his story after this, right? Oh wait, there's this old tweet from November 2020 where Jason says he was recovering for nearly 8 months and couldn't daily stream or work. Let's look at the Twitch stats graph again and his tweets.
Nico, that's insane.
He couldn't work during this period, but everything he posts during this time says he was working on Heartbound, and his Twitch stats confirm it. So does Steam. I mean, Jason wouldn't lie and change his story and opinions randomly, right? Especially not his...
Dude, bro is just... I think bro can't help but lie. I think he's a serial liar. I think he just can't help himself. So just lie and make shit up.
Loyal viewers and Heartbound fans, let's skim the graphs and see what else we can see. Okay, 2021 minus the months of March, April, May, and June. His streaming is extremely good and consistent, with tons of stream days going past 10 hours and some days hitting 16 hours.
Good for him.
2020, about the same for March, April, May, and June, and September, with the rest of the months being slightly less consistent, but still more consistent than not. Then we get to 2023, and this is incredibly consistent with the stream averages being 6 to 8 hours per day. Let's start diving back into Jason's tweets.
Combo. Yeah.
So on June 2023, he catches COVID again. Okay, that seems to match up with his Twitch stats graph.
God.
Here there's a clear week gone. Let's see what Jason says in July.
That was a hell of a thing. That's the second time I've gotten COVID. The first time took 9 months to recover. This one took probably about, I think it was in total about 20 days. So
there is no point in time in 2020, 2021, 2022, or 2023 where he lost 9 months consecutively or stopped development for that period of time. He also in the clip claimed he got COVID twice in total. So that doesn't explain why there's 4 sections of gaps on development, since all these gaps are months apart and he only had...
Yeah, maybe he was just a little bit lazy. Maybe he just didn't want to work.
Had COVID twice. Let's skip ahead to June 2024 and see what he says about these 4 years of development.
How long have you been working in this game? Was the coding a solo job? Yeah. Nobody else has touched the code base for Heartbound ever except for me. It's just me. I've been working on it for about 7 years, but I lost 2.5 years to COVID.
Okay, I hope at this point you realize his excuses for not working on Heartbound and his tweets are filled with complete BS. Once again, he stopped development in 2020, 3 months between September to October,
puts you in
where he had his first...
Okay, as someone who's had COVID twice, don't get me wrong, COVID sucks, but like, and I know people are affected by it in different ways, so I don't want to say like my experience is everyone else's experience, but like, it just makes you like really sick for a little bit. It makes you like really fatigued. It doesn't kill you. It doesn't put you in a fucking coma. Sometimes it'll put you in the hospital, sure, but like, bro, looks like he's decently healthy and in shape, so I don't think it's gonna kill him.
First COVID period of inactivity. His second COVID was in June 2023. No matter how you try to arrange this and make sense of it, the numbers don't work out. Especially since we can see his 2023, he basically had a perfect stream schedule. And if we look at 2021 and 2022, there were only 2 gaps where he seems to be affected, and they're months apart. Jason basically just decided to quit working on his game sometime during 2020 and has been making random excuses since then on why he hasn't made progress.
Well, yeah, because it's easier just lie about being sick than just being like, yeah, I just lost some passion for the game, so I didn't code for a little bit. Instead, it sounds better if he just says, yeah, I was really friggin' sick, so I couldn't work on the game.
Chapter 3 Animus, the reason we've been going through this chart started all the way back in January of 2019. If we look at the latest patch in 2025, work on Chapter 3 Animus is still going somehow. We have gone through 6 years of development so far, and Jason hasn't been able to complete 14% of Chapter 3. Seriously, what the hell? Remember, Undertale took 2 years, 7 months to finish the full entire game with 3 times as much content as what Heartbound is currently delivering in 2025, with 10 years of development time under its belt.
That's wild.
To put this into even more perspective, let's look at Yandere Dev, a developer notorious for having no clue what he's doing programming-wise, and spends the majority of his day responding to emails and maybe spending a few minutes each day working on his game. He makes more progress and more consistently than Jason does. Seriously, I'm not joking. Here's the update list for Yandere Dev starting in 2020.
You know when Yandere Dev, which is, by the way, is he's probably like the biggest lol cow when it comes to like being like a programmer. If your progress is worse than the literal meme of like slow, bad programming, you're cooked. You are so cooked.
Yandere Dev has made more progress and more consistently at that in that year alone than Jason has in the last 5. We just might be living in a time.
In 1 year, he's made more progress than PirateSoftware has in 5.
Timeline where Yandere Dev finishes his game before Jason does. And yes, I might have gone slightly crazy trying to plot 6 years of Animus development with conflicting tweets and time gaps on the Twitch stats graph.
That's crazy. I'm really looking forward to part 2, because man, oh man, what a banger of a video. I cannot wait for this. He actually has 40 years with a 6-month experience. True. I found out he was involved in Apex hacking fiasco. He came in a mall. Oh, I remember this. Dude, the Apex stuff where he just came out and just said a bunch of wrong things. Dude, I that's a story for another time. But bro, like Apex had some like pretty significant hacking going on. I think during a tournament, someone hacked Apex during a tournament, and he armchair programmer comes out and says something that is just completely wrong. And everyone memed on him for it. Oh man, I totally forgot about that. Bro's the ultimate social engineer. He managed to convince millions of people he was a programmer, a game dev, and a master hacker. Bro, yup. That's all he is. He's a good social engineerist. Oh, that's so good. Oh man, I can't wait for the second part of this. But yeah, I've been an OG hater of Thor. Jason. When all of his stuff started popping out, he only really started getting popular over the last 2 years because of TikTok. He made some TikToks where he sounded really friggin' smart, and he pulled up MS Paint and drew everything out, so even the dumbest of the dumb people could understand like what he was saying. So yeah, he's a snake oil salesman. He just convinced a bunch of dumb people that he's really smart, and he has a bunch of this experience. But I don't know. Let me know what you think about Jason, aka Thor. PirateSoftware down below, and as always, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.